Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody?
Excited for referrals.
Good. Good to have an exciting Thursday morning. Councilmember Ravel, you ready to go? You are muted, I'm afraid.
Now I'm ready.
Excellent. All right. So the June 9th meeting of the City of Evanston Referrals Committee is called to order. Councilmember Sufferton, Councilmember Ravel.
Here.
Mayor Biss is here with 2 members present. We have a quorum and are prepared to do our work. We had a note from Councilmember Sufferton indicating that an unexpected conflict has made him unavailable this morning. Oh, I should probably look at the agenda and follow it too. So we begin with public comment. Is there any member of the public seeking to give comment this morning? Seeing none, we move on to approval of the minutes of the regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the June 9th meeting?
I so move.
I second. Councilmember Ravel moves approval of the minutes of the June 9th meeting of the Referrals Committee. Mayor Biss seconds. There any discussion? Seeing none, Councilmember Ravel.
Aye.
I vote aye, and with 2 in favor, none voting against, the motion passes and the minutes are approved. I apologize in advance. Our family is leaving town right after this meeting, and there's hacking and like kids running around not being ready in the background. So if you don't like those sounds, I understand. So we now move to our the main work of the morning, which is dealing with the referrals that are found between lines 21 and 27 of the new referrals. Nope, 20. Yeah, no, that's right. Sorry, 21 and 27 of the new
Did we
referrals.
already do? Did we do 20 already?
Yeah, didn't we?
I didn't think so, but that's okay. Maybe we did.
I thought we did, and
We did,
asked to be on the next meeting of the Rules Committee. And
Okay. Yep. It sounds familiar. Okay.
so I think we've got 21 through 27, and this is the new referrals form tab of the referral tracker spreadsheet. And so let's just dive in then.
Okay.
So Councilmember, do you have a scoring that you want to share on line? So line 21 is the creation of a reserve fund to hold a 1/6 general fund annual expenditure balance. I guess the idea here is that is our targeted fund balance. And so the suggestion is, hey, let's have a special repository for that cash balance so it doesn't get kind of commingled with other assets.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Councilmember.
Yeah. So so I guess before we get started, I would like us to think a little bit more about what's required to submit referrals. And I'm thinking in particular that there be a real demonstration that there's interest either from other members of the council, residents in the council members ward, or something, just to kind of make sure that when things get referred and put on an agenda for a committee, it's more than just a single council member's idea. And so for this particular, and so I'm going to be wanting to look at that column on our referral form a little more closely.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it says it was a meeting.
I don't think it says anything, does it?
Well, I wrote down meeting question mark, but let me just.
The tab is blank. Which staff or council members have been involved? Blank.
Okay. So
Relevant stakeholders are also blank.
Yeah.
It says, has there been a public meeting? It says yes.
But that could mean a ward meeting.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I mean, so I guess if it is quote award meeting, I'd like it to be more than just the council member saying, I'm going to be making a referral about this idea, but there's actually some discussion or some demonstration of interest. And obviously I mentioned this because Human Services has just had to deal with a ton of referrals, and they're all really, as far as I can tell, the ideas of a single council member. I mean, they may be garnering support now that they're under discussion, but I don't believe there was that discussion and show of support before they. And those were referred to us before we revised our form. So I guess I'd like us to, on our referral form, to say that particular item is mandatory, so that there has to be some kind of indication of, some kind of interest and support. Your thought,
Yeah.
Mayor Biss?
What's that?
Your thoughts, Mayor Biss?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I think it's worth being very, very explicit here. And of course you were there and I wasn't, so
Yeah.
I'm not gloating, I'm just
Very late.
stating a fact about locations of people on Monday evening. I mean, what occurred on Monday evening, I think, was a confluence of two phenomena. One was that a certain council member made an absolute ton of referrals, and the other was that council member was the chair of Human Services. Right, and so I think you're asking the same questions I think we need to be asking. I'm just not sure what the answers are, because, if we want to go back to the whole council and sort of solicit the authority to just put the brakes on things altogether, we can do that. I don't think that's going to meet with a lot of support, though.
No,
People want that.
Yeah, no, and that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just thinking that council members need to do a little more work before they send us a referral, is what I'm suggesting. Right,
and I think what I would like to see happen here is a kind of a natural, I don't know why I'm so incredibly inarticulate this morning, I'm sorry, but I'd like to see a situation where over time people see that the more work they do in advance, the more preparation they do, the more success they have in actually moving their items forward. And so over time people kind of fall into that habit. Because I think if we are too heavy-handed in our exercise of our authority, that's not a great idea. So anyway, I think the specific concrete thing you've said, I completely agree with. We should make that field mandatory. I think it's important information for us to have, even if the person just writes none. We should be aware of that, as opposed to having to guess what a sort of a non-answer means.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Okay, so that was just my little prelude before we get into the specific items here. So I gave this one a 2, a 2, a 2, a 1, and a 2.
So I gave it a really different score than that. So you gave it a 2, a 2, a 2, a 1, and a 2?
Yeah.
Which adds up to, I think, 9. I actually gave it a 3, a 2, a 2, and a 3, and a 2.
Okay. I gave it, I was generous, well, a 2 for the time sensitivity, just because conceivably we would put that into the budget for the next year.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Okay, well, let's just, I think the sort of average, we can give it all 2s across the board.
Okay.
Clearly it should go to the Finance and Budget Committee.
Right.
I actually disagree that this is urgent, because a fund can be created pretty much anytime, and we hold 16.66% anyway. So
Okay,
it's just a matter of opening up that fund and transferring money over.
okay, okay.
Right, I think that's exactly right. I mean, this is really an accounting
Mhm.
decision much more than a change in the substance of what the budget might have in it.
Okay, well, that's good because heaven only knows the Budget and Finance Committee has a
Way
ton.
too much on their
Yeah,
agenda.
Yeah. So we could have them deal with it in the first quarter of 2023.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay, so then I move that we refer this to the Budget and Finance Committee and ask that it be on the agenda in the first quarter of 2023.
I second. So Councilmember Bell moves that row 21 of the spreadsheet be referred to the Finance and Budget Committee with the recommendation to hear it before the end of the first quarter of 2023. Mayor Vitt seconds. Is there discussion? Seeing none. Councilmember Bell.
Aye.
I vote aye, with 2 voting in favor, none voting against. The item is duly referred. So this brings us to row 22, which is another sort of request, another referral regarding the creation of a new fund. This would be a transportation infrastructure enterprise fund. Do you want to share the scores you gave, Councilmember?
Basically pretty similar to the one just before. I said 22313. It was a little harder rating because I'm not really sure what would be implied by a transportation infrastructure enterprise fund. But
Yeah, and I said 32212. So,
okay, right,
so I think again a sort of way of averaging it.
right.
We can go with as a sort of an average. We can go to 22312, which also lands at 10, which is what your score was.
Okay.
And I mean,
Is this another budget and finance issue, or is it more complicated than that?
I'm a little conflicted on that. What do you think, Kelly?
I would say yes to start with, because I would need Hitesh to weigh in. But I think the law department's gonna have to weigh in on this too, because Councilmember Reed is saying that the way we keep funds now is unconstitutional, which I'm not really sure about that. So I would like the law department to have a chance to look at that too.
Right.
Is he alleging the way we keep the funds is unconstitutional, or the way that we
Yes.
spend the funds?
I'm not really sure. He just says unconstitutional. Violation of Illinois Constitution requires remedy.
So I think I talked to him about this. He, because of the transportation lockbox, I
Right.
think he is saying that it's how we spend it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just pulling up that provision of the Constitution, which is really annoyingly long. So it's if you're keeping score at home, it's section 11 of Article 9 of the Illinois Constitution. But yeah, I mean, it's very long and sort of frustrating to read, but it's saying is money shall not be expended except blah, blah, blah. So it is not about the accounting or keeping of funds. It's about the expenditure of funds.
Yeah, that they can only be used for certain purposes, which we certainly pay attention to that.
Yeah, so I'm not sure again how the creation of the fund isn't. I mean, it might be convenient or it might be even a good idea, but it doesn't. I mean, if there's a concern about compliance with this article of the Constitution, that's an important concern to address, with or without any creation of a new fund.
Right. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, so I guess finance and budget is probably the first stop, but again, I would not want to kind of have them drop everything else to do this particularly quickly.
So is that another first quarter 2023 item then?
I think so. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, then I move we forward this to the Budget and Finance Committee and ask them to put it on the agenda in the first quarter of 2023.
I second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Revelle moves that row 22 of the sheet be referred to the Finance and Budget Committee with recommendation they hear it in the first quarter of 2023. Mayor Bis seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none. Councilmember Revelle.
Aye.
I vote aye, and with 2 voting in favor, none voting against, the item is duly referred. This brings us to row 23 of the tracker, which sorry, I'm getting lost in the spreadsheet. So this is pavement of the alley adjacent to 311 Elmwood. I was a little stunned to see this as a referral at all. Is this, I mean, is it necessary to make a referral regarding the pavement of an alley?
I mean, we have a whole process for.
Yeah, you go on a list and it gets.
You get in line.
Yeah, you get in line.
There are a ton of people in line waiting for the petition before they can even get in line for the paving part. I mean, there's a lot of pent up demand for this. And then there's also some CDBG funds that are available for certain census districts. So I don't know if this particular alley fits there, but that would also be a different non-referral kind of process.
And then there's the question of, are we sure we own this alley? I don't know the answer to that sitting here today, which is always a fun game to play.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So do we ask Allison to contact the council member and help him understand the alley paving application process?
Great.
Great.
I'll tell you, I can save you a step, Allison. You can have Dave talk to him.
Oh, okay.
Or Edgar.
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent. Well, that brings us then to row 24 of the spreadsheet, which is regarding the prohibition of trucks on certain streets in the 8th ward. I actually asked the same question here. Is this something that requires referral?
Yeah. So, I mean, so the mention was it's to deal with idling.
We are dealing with that. There's a whole task force working on this issue with police and parking right now and the owner. And I think they just made some headway with it, actually.
Okay.
So is this something else where we should maybe effectuate a conversation between the referring council member and the right person on staff?
Yes, and I would refer him to Mike Rivera.
Yeah. That sounds good. Some of these issues are definitely more of a working with city staff and the property owner or whatever to address the concerns. So yeah. All right, moving right along. Oh my God.
Okay, this brings us to row 25, which is the elimination of 4th of July parade parkway regulations. The assertion being made in the referral is that the regulations are unconstitutional. I will confess to not having totally understood that when I read the specific regulations that were being.
Right, yeah, if we do away with regulation, it means people will go back to just putting their chairs out, weeks in advance.
Well, as a lawyer who has been in civil or city litigation for a long time, I don't believe the ordinance is unconstitutional. But if this were to move forward, it would have to go back to Human Services.
I think the paradigm here is that it singles out 4th of July and nothing else. So maybe
there's no equal protection for 4th of July. So, it's about regulating that the legitimate governmental interest, which is the standard, is that we're concerned about people in the parkway and structures in the parkways, traffic congestion. So I think that would be enough to pass constitutional muster, although I'm not a Supreme Court justice. But that would be my professional opinion.
Yeah,
I believe his ultimate goal is, I think for expediency, he just sort of crossed it out, but I said if it were if it covered all parades, would that address your concern? And he said yes.
I was thinking maybe he was interested in disallowing anybody putting any chairs out in advance.
No, I think if it were for all parades, then it would be fine.
Can I just I'm not trying to be difficult here, but like, what's the point?
Well, and this is one of the ones where I would say, well, you know, who, yeah, where is the demand for this change, I guess, is my concern. Do we have people putting out chairs in parkways for other parades and being told they can't do it or anything?
No, I'm told 4th of July is the only real issue. People are serious about the 4th of July parade. They should, yes.
Yeah.
Very serious business in Evanston.
Yeah.
Just wait till this year. 2 years of pent-up demand.
I know.
Wild.
I've never experienced it because I've always worked here under pandemic restrictions. So
Right, yeah. Shoot.
well, can I just make a suggestion?
Yes.
And Allison and I and a few others have a meeting later for these types of referrals where it's changing our health safety code or public safety, whatever this section is under. I've recommended a little bit more fleshing out of detail, specifically, you know, what is the policy you're trying to effectuate? What if any data or discussion have you had with departments and that kind of thing? That would be some information I think that could be helpful, because it sounds like we're all just guessing as to what the intent of this referral is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's written exactly what he wants the ordinance to look like. So we have.
Yes, but I did have a conversation with him because I thought that there might be some confusion. And he basically said that if it were an ordinance for all parades, that I think his concern is that it singles out 4th of July. He's like, why not a Juneteenth parade? Like, why not?
It's not what this says or what this does. So
That's his point.
No, I mean, what his proposed.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's not what this is doing. And I feel like I think to Councilmember Ravel's point, like that's the work that needs to be done on the front end before we're trying to guess like as to what this is and then send it to a committee that's trying to understand what this is too.
Right. So is that something you'll address in this meeting later this morning then, Kelly, or?
My suggestion would be if he wants to just include all parades, then his referral should reflect that.
Okay. So we'll let Allison go back to the council member to ask him to amend his referral.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to wait. I'm also, we can handle this anyway. I don't think it matters one way or the other. This is clearly not urgent, you know.
Right. I'm just trying to cut down on the amount of time we have to spend on stuff at places like Human Services where we go round and round before we get somewhere.
Right. No, I understand that the more clarity, the more clarity somebody comes in with,
the better.
The more useful the committee will.
Right. So since I don't think there's any urgency, since we're not really trying to change things for the 4th of July.
No.
That we ask the council member to amend his referral.
Okay. Can you have that conversation, Allison?
Great, thanks.
Thank you. All right, and now we are at our last two, which have the benefit that the council members who referred them are both here. So everything can be made clear. So
Exactly.
first, row 26, which is something of mine, something that is, I think, extremely unurgent, which is, we suspended the rules in the rules committee to appoint a chair of a certain type of committee who wasn't a council member.
Mhm.
I just made a referral to make that consistent with the rules. I think it's a good idea in general, but also I think, rather than call this some sort of goofy exception, we should just change the rules so what we do is consistent with the rule going forward.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good rule change. I gave it all ones.
Oh, I didn't give it a lot of ones at all. I gave it a 3 for time sensitivity. I don't think it's urgent
Oh,
at all,
well,
actually.
that's true. That's true, right.
Um,
I thought maybe it'd be good to get the rule cleared up, even though we've suspended it, but anyway.
Well, I'm gonna, because it's mine and I don't want to, I think you're being too generous. I'm gonna just stick with my score here, which is a
Okay,
3, a 1, a 2, a 1, and a 3, adding up to 10. I think clearly it has to go to the rules committee.
right.
And again, I don't think it's particularly urgent,
Mhm.
but I also don't think it's going to take a long time when it happens. Like I don't think it'll take almost any staff time to write. I don't think the memo will take much time, and I don't think the discussion would take much time either.
Mhm.
So I don't, I'm happy to recommend it go relatively soon because I don't think it'll clutter much. But again, I don't feel a sense of urgency about this.
Yeah. January, March, April, May, June, July, August. So the next rules committee meeting is technically in
August. August.
So which is the third quarter. So forwarded to the rules committee for its agenda in the third quarter.
Okay.
Sound good? Okay, that's my motion.
So I second. So Councilmember Revelle moves this item be referred to the Rules Committee with a recommendation to hear it before the end of the third quarter of 2020, during the third quarter of 2022. Mayor Biss seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Councilmember Revelle.
Aye.
I vote aye, and with 2 voting in favor, none voting against, the motion passes and the item is referred. And this brings us now to your referral, which is a referral to simply get a resolution stating opposition to a proposed easement across Isabella Woods. That actually is extremely time sensitive.
It's across Canal Shores this time.
What's that?
The proposed easement is across the Canal Shores Golf Course. Did I say Isabella Woods?
No, you said it exactly correctly, and
Okay.
I was skimming it, and
That's okay.
strangely, if you read only a third of the words out loud, but not contiguous words, the meaning changes. So good lesson there, Daniel.
Right.
Sorry, no, you wrote it precisely correctly. So, I mean, I gave this a 1 and then a bunch of 2s, 1 for
Okay.
time sensitivity and 2 for everything else. But I think which I'm happy to hear what you gave it as well. But I think the point here is that it's extremely time sensitive.
It is, right, because the MWRD board is likely to be considering this issue at its July meeting. So, yeah, so it's extremely time sensitive. It's a recurring issue that has been, the previous council dealt with a couple of times. And there've been numerous discussions at my ward meetings and other community meetings. There's a strong contingency of residents who are very much opposed to any kind of roadway easement in this area. What makes it a little more complicated? So the first time it came up, it was Evanston actually did have to consent because it was a request from a private landowner to go across Isabella Woods. And Michelle Mason Cup, our corporation counsel at the time, was a very important spokesperson at the MWRD board meeting. They all sat up and really listened to her much more than to, regular citizens. So then the second time this came about was the request for the easement is coming from the Cook County Highway Authority. And the law says that MWRD basically has to agree because it's a request from another governmental entity. So that request, that when that came up the last time, MWRD granted that roadway, the easement, and it's coming in from Wilmette across the golf course from Maple Avenue and Wilmette. So that easement has been granted and is still, can be exercised, I think. But now the new proposal is across the golf course, again, from the Cook County Highway Authority, from Evanston, from the Isabella side. And, it's paving over important green space. It's to provide access to put housing in what's basically a swamp, which is an important stormwater management area. Anyway, it's, but nonetheless, I would like to educate the new council members about this whole issue before we come to talk about it at council.
So I just want to interject because I've got to.
You need to
your
leave.
board. Well, I mean, right. Yeah, if I wind up not catching the flight to my brother's wedding,
Yeah, no, the weekend.
I'll be in trouble. But I don't think we have any disagreement here. I think it's too soon to get on the agenda for this coming Monday for obvious reasons. So I think we should just put this on the council agenda for the 27th because that's the only date before July, and MWRD is going to meet in July.
Right. Yep.
So are you? Does that seem right to you?
I so move.
All right, so I second. So Councilmember Revelle moves this item be sent directly to council to appear on the June 27th agenda. Mayor Biss seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Councilmember Revelle?
Aye.
I vote aye. The 2 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion passes. And so as the chair, good news, we also have the chair of the council here. So I can commit to you that will be on the agenda on June 27th. And so you can get to work educating members of council in advance of that. Sorry to be abrupt, but I do literally have to go to the airport.
Very understandable.
And so with that, seeing nothing further to come before us, the June 9th meeting of the Referrals Committee stands adjourned. Thanks,
Great,
everybody.
thanks. Have a great trip.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.